In the co-main event of UFC 330, we will see the post-Zhang Weili strawweight era continue to be solidified as Mackenzie Dern will look to successfully defend her title for the first time against the absolutely on-fire Gillian Robertson, who will enter this co-main event and title opportunity on a 5-fight win streak. And obviously it feels weird saying the post-Zhang Weili era, but where the hell is she? Because she just turned 37 years of age and she hasn't fought in the 115-pound division since February of 2025, with no sights of her returning in 2026, and the last fight she had was in the 125-pound flyweight division, a chance to become a champ against Valentina Shevchenko, but that was in November, and it's been radio silence ever since. Obviously, I see the rankings right next to me. She sits at number 1 in the world in the strawweight division, and rightfully so. She was a 2-time champion with numerous title defenses, but with hardly any rumors or murmurs about her return and whether it's going to be at strawweight or flyweight, that's why I'm here to say it's the post-Zhang Weili era, at least until proven otherwise. And that era is led by the now champion Mackenzie Dern, who competed for the vacant title opportunity back in October of last year at UFC 321 in the co-main event, where her and Virna Jandiroba, who was on fire at that point, riding a 5-fight win streak just like Jillian is heading into UFC 330, and they would go toe-to-toe for 25 minutes in a very closely contested bout that would result in Dern getting her hand raised and becoming the champion, improving her own win streak to 3, and making good finally on all of the hype that was surrounding her transitioning from the jiu-jitsu world into mixed martial arts. Dern has been in the UFC since 2018 and has had a very high-level resume in terms of competition, with fights coming against Amanda Ribas, twice against Virna Jandiroba, Marina Rodriguez, Tisha Pennington, Yan Xiaonan, Angela Hill, Jessica Andrade, Amanda Lemos, Lupi Godinez, and over the course of that 8-year stretch with all those names listed, it has led to her accomplishing the second most victories in the strawweight division's history with 11, only behind Angela Hill with 13, and having surpassed Rose Namajunas, Zhang Weili, and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. And of those 11 victories, 5 of them have come by way of submission, which is the most all-time at 115 pounds, which seems only fitting because her opponent Gillian Robertson has the most all-time submission wins in the women's flyweight division with 6, and third most victories ever at women's 125. But it wasn't until Jillian made her way to strawweight where we truly began to see her flourish and come into her all. Because since dropping down 10 pounds to strawweight, she has gone 6-1 with 3 of her 6 wins coming by way of stoppage, and her only loss comes to top 10 fighter Tabitha Ricci. And that was back in June of 2023. Since then, she hasn't looked back, racking up 5 victories in a row, including Michelle Waterson-Gomez, Marina Rodriguez, and former title challenger Amanda Lemos. And that one was most recent for her, and that was in March, where she secured a decision win and solidified herself as next up for the strawweight crown. And for Jillian, we've essentially grown up with her in the sport because she debuted back in 2017 after The Ultimate Fighter when she was just 22 years old and had only 5 professional bouts to her name. And so here we are 20 fights later, and she is finally getting the shot to become a champion and become the first ever female Canadian champion in history. And what entices me so much about this matchup is that the savage Gillian Robertson is one of the few women that can probably go tit for tat with Mackenzie Dern when it comes to the grappling realm. Obviously, Dern has the higher Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu credentials, being a former world champion, but when it comes to transitioning into MMA Jiu-Jitsu and grappling, that is where I feel like you have to give the nod to Gillian Robertson, because not only can she get those submission wins, but she can also transition into getting dominant control time and landing ground and pound strikes as well, which has led to her finishing 12 of her 17 victories. Whereas for Mackenzie Dern, we've never seen her get a KO TKO and has only submitted half of her career opponents, 8 submissions and 8 decisions. But what can be stated for both women as well is that they are in their prime, for Dern 33 and for Jillian 31, and both have continued to evolve over time in their all-around skill sets, but I feel like in my opinion it's Jillian that has made the bigger leaps and bounds. Because yes, Mackenzie Dern has had to go from a jiu-jitsu practitioner to a mixed martial artist, which she has clearly been able to do. She's now a champion of the world, but when she's on the feet, it can still get a very, very dicey and very sloppy. Whereas for Jillian, yes, we don't really see her strike as often as Dern, but when she does, I at least feel it's a little bit more polished and a little bit more clean. But maybe I'm just grasping at straws here, because at the end of the day, both of these women want to do the same thing, and that's get their opponents to the mat. And heading into this bout at UFC 330, both of them are making me a believer in each. So it's hard for me to choose a side in this one. For Dern, Dern, I do believe that she has more hunger than ever now that she's the champion, looking to defend it. They always say that once you get that belt wrapped around your waist, you get 30% better, and in all of the videos and footage that I've seen of her, that is exactly what it feels like she is doing. She is coming into her all right now. But for Jillian, she seems so motivated and hungry to gain this title. This is a person in Dern that she's been chasing down for years at this point, always wanting to call her out and get a fight against her to prove that she is the better jiu-jitsu practitioner and mixed martial arts grappler. I think there's like a chip on Gillian Robertson's shoulder, where she's wanting to not only prove that she's better than Dern, but now she gets the opportunity to do that in the same breath become a champion. When it comes to physicality, it's hard to find someone with a better physique in the women's strawweight division than Mackenzie Dern. She has been absolutely yoked ever since having her child years ago, and so I do think she will be the physically more impressive fighter and stronger fighter in there. And is that going to make the difference when they get tied up, when they're in the clinch, when they're up against the fence looking to get each other down to the mat? Or can Jillian weather her way through the cracks and get Dern down on her back instead? And even if she gets her there, we obviously know that Dern is dangerous off of her back. We know that Jillian is dangerous off of hers. This could be one of those instances where the grappling of these two essentially cancels each other out, and we instead see them striking with each other on the feet, which we did see a lot of in Dern's fight against Virna Jandiroba. So I'm going to be very curious here to see who wants it more. I think that's what it's going to come down to. It is going to be a dogfight for where someone is going to have to grind it out to leave Philadelphia with that championship around their waist and held high. For Dern, can she continue to prove that she is the best strawweight in the world in a post-strawweight Zhang Weili era, continuing to take the 115-pound division into the next generation of fighters with up-and-coming names such as Fatima Klein and Alexia Tainara? And for Gillian Robertson, can she make history? Can she become the first Canadian-born female champion ever, and just the third ever Canadian ever behind Carlos Newton way back in 2001, and of course the all-time great George St. Pierre? Those are big shoes to fill, but if anyone is down for that challenge, I do believe it is the savage Gillian Robertson, and I really do believe that she's willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And so now I turn the discussion over to you. Who do you think leaves UFC 330 as the women's strawweight champion? Will it be Mackenzie Dern, much like Islam Makhachev, getting the first title defense of their reign? Or will Gillian Robertson make history and put one on the board for the Great White North? Give me your predictions and your thoughts on this matchup down in the comments below. And quickly, let's talk about some of the other fights on this card, because there are no other ranked matchups, there are no other big names, there are no other big storylines, and so for that matter, I'm just going to mention a few fights that you should keep your eyes on, because unfortunately, this is one of the weakest numbered events that we've seen in years. We've got Jalen Turner back for his second fight post 9-month retirement. We saw him return in December of last year and defeat Edson Barboza in dominant fashion, and here he's taking on Cali Fernandez, who is 11-2 overall and riding a 3-fight win streak with 2 knockouts over that span. We've got Mansour Abdul Malik looking to bounce back from his first professional loss that took place earlier this year in March, taking on the veteran Dustin Stoltzfus. The aforementioned Edson Barboza is back looking to end his 3-fight losing streak, and he is taking on the prospect Esteban Ribovic, a fight that is going to be an absolute banger. And Ribovic in his own right is looking to bounce back as well from his biggest jump up in competition to date that came against Mateusz Gamrot in April. Joel Alvarez is looking to take his welterweight win streak above 500 when he takes on Chidi Njokuani, who is in need of a bounce back, having not won since May of last year and on a 2-fight skid. Vicente Luque will have his second middleweight bout, and it comes off of his victory at 185 in April when he submitted Kelvin Gastelum. He will take on Tresean Gore, who had an insane comeback victory in April against Azamat Bikoev and is an Ultimate Fighter alum. And we will see Jeremiah Wells looking to improve to 6-2 in the UFC and make his win streak 2 in a row when he takes on the dangerous Miktabek Oralbai, who is one of the most violent fighters on the roster and currently rides a 3-fight win streak heading into UFC 330. So that is it for the UFC 330 breakdown and preview, and now I want to hear from you in the comments below, not only on that co-main event between Gillian Robertson and Mackenzie Dern for the strawweight title, not only in that main event between Islam Makhachev and Ian Machado Gary, but for those other fights that I alluded to and any of the other fights that you're looking forward to on this card as well. Honestly, what would you grade this numbered event on a scale of 1 to 10 or on a grade school scale of A to F? And if you enjoyed this breakdown, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new because every single week I am breaking down and previewing the biggest and best fights and storylines heading into each card. In the aftermath, I'm recapping the most meaningful results, and I give my thoughts and opinions on MMA news and fight announcements. You can also join the community on social media at Verbal Spar MMA on X, Instagram, and TikTok, as well as like the Facebook page Verbal Sparring MMA, and you could follow on your favorite audio listening platforms such as Spotify and Apple, where every Monday and Friday podcast episodes release there. Have a great weekend, enjoy the fights, and I will see you all in the next video.